superhero is not really my genre. It's not something that I've been able to replicate at the table well. So when Eric Price from Japanime Games gave me Glitter Hearts at Spiel last year for me to review, I was a little bit, okay, I'm gonna do this because you're a mate, but no promises because superheroes. So I started to read the book. Is this book actually going to be worth the amount of money that you have to spend to get your hands on it? Welcome to the GMS Magazine RPG review videos. So I started to read this book, and I have to say, partly because I adore Eric. I think Japanime is a great company, and I know Greg Leatherman, the author of the game, through Twitter, and I thought, yeah, I owe this to these two to actually start reading it, but I was a bit, So, firstly, let me show you the book inside. The cover is actually pretty good, and it has some quirky things that I do like. Firstly, it's very dynamic. I do like the color palette. I have to say, as an illustration, it works very well indeed. I do like the diversity, both in body shape, gender, presentation of the whole thing. I think it works fantastically. It's a hardcover, very hardcover, and the back is very well used. It describes everything as it should. It tells you it's a power by the apocalypse kind of game, which also didn't fill me with joy because my experience playing Powered by the Apocalypse games hasn't been great. I know that that's got nothing to do with the system. I know for a fact that it's a great system, but the two games I've had of it, they just didn't scratch my itch. So again, I went into this book with a lot of bias. Production-wise, it's fun. It is good fun. The book inside is of one column, very big font, loads of really interesting, cool, fun illustrations. Everything is very clear. I like it. I was very surprised, very pleasingly, gladly surprised. The one thing though that I was a bit, why didn't you pay more attention? There are loads and loads of orphan and widow lines all over the book. Loads of them. And that I really didn't like that at all of the book. I feel that if they had paid a little bit more attention to detail, maybe even reduced the font by 1 point, they would have avoided most of them. That, though, is my only qualm with this book, because everything else actually reads very well. The table of contents, which is something I pay an awful lot of attention to, is comprehensive enough, but simple enough. So, yeah, I was a bit, okay, let's give this a chance. And I started to read the book with a little bit more, open mind, let's say. There is a lot to like in this game, I found. The mechanics are very simple. You roll 2d6s. If you roll enough, you succeed without a problem. If you roll anything between 6 and a 10, 7 and a 10, then you succeed, but you have a little bit of a problem that adds to the story. Nothing serious, but you slip, or your shoelaces are undone, or you drop something. But if you roll less than 6, then yeah, you actually 6 or less, then you are into a little bit more of a problem. Not necessarily something that's going to kill your character, but it's a failure, so there has to be some negative consequence. That is it. Yes, you can get bonuses, you can get advantages by using your abilities, by using your moves, by working together. That is something I enjoyed very, very much of the game. Every character is going to have 2 different personalities. That is something that I also liked an awful lot, because you're going to be playing as heroic teenagers. What do teenagers do? Well, they do teenage stuff. They go to school, they fall in love for the first time, they grow a beard if they can, they cut their hair, they have to pass their exams, they have to be home on time before or after saving the world. So you have, within each character, you have 2 different personas, and the game makes a big effort in making sure that you play both. That I liked, because what happens when you're grounded but your friends are out there saving the world? Are you going to disobey your parents? Are you going to go out there? It's that kind of little things. I thought that's going to make the game really good fun. Each character gets some moves. Moves are kind of abilities that you can play, and when you play them, you get some advantages to your roles. Some of the things I liked about this is that the moves, if you play them together, you get even more advantage. If you play let's do this together as a team, you get more advantage to your roles. I like that spirit of cooperation. Yes, it makes it hard for the GM. Don't get me wrong. This game for the GM is going to be harder to run, because it opens the player for so much improvisation, for so much customization, for that level of flexibility, that you're going to be kept on your toes very, very much, to the point that there is one role, one ability that can make the villain change their minds. So it stops being a villain. So what you're left with is with the consequence of their actions whilst they were a villain, and of course with having to redeem themselves. If that works, a whole plot line could have to be reworked. So the players may need to play with the villain to undo everything that's been done. Now that can be really good fun, don't get me wrong, but again, it means that the GM will have to be on their toes very, very much. Did I end up liking Glitter Hearts? Well, yeah, actually, I found myself thinking, this is a really interesting concept. Am I going to play very long campaigns of this game? Probably not. Am I going to play this with adults? Yes. This is something that I have seen an awful lot of. People thinking, well, it's a kiddies game. No. No. And you know what I think would be an absolutely amazing experiment? To mix a table of older and younger players, teenagers who are going through this, and see how that plays together. I think the dynamics would be absolutely brilliant. Despite its looks of being whimsical and fun and funny and teenagey and silly at places, this is a very serious game that introduces an awful lot of cooperation into playing, that together, into playing a group of superheroes that, despite their differences, because you do get your differences between players, you can get rivalry, you can get that, I need to be better than her, I need to be better than him, I need to be better than myself. You get all that within the game. it does it very, very well indeed. Indeed. So if you want to introduce somebody to a super heroic kind of game with a different slant to it, that they've never played role-playing games, Glitterheart could easily be a very good game to start with, because it takes very little time to learn how to play. As soon as you get into the groove of just go with the flow. Okay, don't try to force a story into it. Just have some milestones, and everything else just let it flow and be prepared to change. As long as you play like that, you'll be fine. And the people will have a great time. And mixing those two characters in one, that I really enjoyed. So yeah, all my reservations about Glitterhearts were dispelled as soon as you started reading the book, or I started reading the book. I think it's very well worth it. I think it is very clever. And I think it is very well designed. Yeah, a few layout issues that should be corrected. But other than that, this is highly recommended. Really enjoy it. So please let me know if you have already read it. If you have not, if you want to know anything else about the game, let me know, because I would love to tell you about it. But until the next time, I will talk to you very, very soon. Take care.